Hi, Helena.
Hi, Adam.
And hi to all of our listeners. We are back for 2026. I've just been hearing from Helena that we've had thousands of complaints from people who have said we've taken too long a break, apparently.
So rude. So rude.
We said we'd be back in Feb, and here we are back in Feb. And that's really exciting. I've been digging the hot weather. I've been digging having you back in the country as well, Helena. This is nice. This is really nice.
That's it. Local summertime, La Dicks back on the ground, hanging out together and in social situations. Like, what more could you want out of your life?
I know. We had a nice time. We got together and had a couple of shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah.
On good old 26th of January, which was really enjoyable and welcoming Mark to the country properly with the proper barbie, which I really approved of.
Exactly.
That was great.
Had to be done.
That was great. And can we just tell our listeners what the highlight of the barbecue was?
You mean my little spit roast?
No. The mac and cheese.
Well,
I made the world's best mac and cheese. What the hell? How have you forgotten this already?
To be fair, your mac and cheese was pretty sexual. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, even my mother, who's used to run restaurants and everything, she's the pickiest woman in the world on food that other people make. She's like, who made the mac and cheese, Helena? I was like, Adam. I really liked that.
Yeah. Was it damn right?
And she'd never had mac and cheese before.
She could also have said it's the worst mac and cheese she's ever had, and she still would have been factually correct.
She still wouldn't have anything to compare it to.
That's exactly right.
No, I think she's had like really cheap mac and cheese like ages ago in America, but not a proper like homemade, nice mac and cheese with actual real ingredients that don't have any expiry have an expiry date rather than not have an expiry date.
Although my mac and cheese is inspired by all of the stuff I've done in the States. Like, I kind of took the best bits that I liked from all the places in the States to make that mac and cheese. So I didn't take any of the glow in the dark, no expiry date parts of it, though, to be fair.
I think new age mac and cheese is much classier than old school mac and cheese for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Fair play.
So we caught up at the end of January, and we saw each other. Was it just last week that we saw each other at Pirates of Penzance?
That's right.
Amazing. You, me, and good old Henry Chu got together and went and saw Victorian Opera's Pirates of Penzance. How good was that?
It was my first time at the Palais. I can't believe that it was my first time at the Palais, but it really was.
Was it also your first GNS? Your first Gilbert and Sullivan?
I feel like I've probably seen a really huge GNS probably earlier on in my career, but definitely of recent times, I would certainly never have opted to go and watch a GNS show. Although Pirates, was quite becoming. I think, like, if you're going to go to a GNS show for the first time, I think Pirates is a great one to go to.
Yeah,
for sure.
For my taste, absolutely my favourite.
As I said to you guys when I suggested it, there's so many cast members that we both knew, and I just think it's great. Like, one of the things that I've been trying to do since I've been home, not every week, but one of the things I've been trying to do is go and see what's out there and see what's happening with performance levels and the singers that are around and the kind of things that are being put on around town, especially stuff that I wouldn't particularly be in, because obviously if there's something that's on that I would usually be in that I'm not, I would be very bitter and not want to go.
You'd be a great pirate king. You should have been in it. You would have been amazing.
A great pirate king. Look, I definitely think there's something in having me in a pair of tights and a fluff, and a frilly shirt and an eye patch. Definitely. I think for health and safety reasons, that could definitely work to sell out every show at the Palais. But I have to say, I really, really enjoyed the theatre itself. I really enjoyed the Palais. I'm a huge fan. For those of our listeners that don't know, the Palais Theatre is quite a big theatre that we have in Melbourne, and it's down by St Kilda Beach. And
it's traditionally a rock venue. Like, it's a real, rock and comedy venue. That's how I've always known it since Victorian Opera has come in and become resident there. I've loved seeing them there. It's so good.
I'm not entirely sure that for opera it's like, the be all and end all of acoustical spaces, but given that the GNS was mic'd and had the orchestra and everything, I think it worked really well. And
I think it's tough backstage as well. I'm going to say, I think it's not a big space backstage for putting a cast.
Gotcha.
I know for bigger casts, they've definitely had to put tents and stuff, like, marquees for dressing rooms. I don't know if they had to do it for this.
We don't have a lot of theatres that are really great with backstage space, I have to say, in this country, or in this city even, in Melbourne. I think the Regent probably is okay.
Yeah, Regent's great.
Done stuff in the Yeah, the Regent's okay. But, the Ath is tiny. Obviously, the Ath is a tiny theatre anyway.
I like Hamaj. Hamaj is good. Comedy theatre is comedy. Oh, my God. The backstage, it's decent, but it's just, 20 stories tall and so tight. My overriding memories of the comedy theatre performing there are just everything feels really narrow and really claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the funniest space you've ever had to get ready in? It doesn't even technically have to be classified as an actual technical, backspace area. Mine is when I was singing in Spain, we had this ridiculous little tour thing that we did. They put the British singers, it was like a festival thing, right? So all the Spanish singers were there and they got treated really great and they got to do all the gigs that were close to home and in the bigger theatres, and the what was classified as the British or the English singers that came out for the festival, we just got given all the gigs, right? So we did this gig that was in a school hall and basically like a basketball court. There were 2 people that attended the concert.
Oh, my God.
And the changing room was a room that was basically like a storage room, and there was a sofa, but instead of the sofa being on the floor for you to sit on, the sofa was on top of the closet. So you walked in and you kind of had to maneuver each way. And there was one single chair and a mirror about the size of my chest.
Oh, my God.
Just going to put it out there. And then and the chair was kind of there, but then sofa on top of the thing, all these things were stored on top of each other, like a little domino furniture effect. And you just sat in there the whole time being terrified that something was going to fall on you. And but it wouldn't have mattered because no one would be there to care because there were 2 people in the audience.
Oh my God! Was this Santander? Is that the?
Yeah, in Santander.
Yeah. See, I did that. I think a couple of years after you, I did that festival, and they clearly had got their shit together because I did an awesome and gorgeous church in the middle of nowhere, which was only lit by candles, which was gorgeous. Wow. And then I did their headline venue. And it was huge. And that's the one where I forgot it was a song cycle in Spanish in Spain, which is the stupidest thing I ever agreed to do. And I got, I think, 2 numbers in. I forgot what the next song was. And you're standing there in front of thousands of people going, oh, okay. So I think I've told you this story, that I turned to the accompanist who was Spanish in his own right and only spoke Spanish. I said in my broken Italian/Spanish, I went, I've forgotten the next song. What's the next song? And he looks over his music and smiles at me with this big, beautiful smile and goes, tre, as in number 3. I'm like,
the next song is number 3.
God. Oh my, was just, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. And so literally, again, all these people looking at me, awkward silence. I have no idea how long I actually paused for, but I ended up walking over to the piano, looking over his shoulder and going, okay, now I know what I'm singing next. And then came in. I'm like, this is horrendous.
We have all had those moments, but it was definitely something like that. And maybe you had a better time because I told them off something royal when I finished. I was like, you cannot treat us like shit. You basically just pawned us off. It was disgusting. The thing is that they realised towards the end that I was actually quite good value, and they'd really just not taken any of us very seriously. And then they did the kind of final gala concert, and they were asking us for finale songs that we could sing. And my curtain call song has always been "Art is Calling for Me." I want to be a prima donna, donna, donna.
Nice.
And they were like, okay, we'll put that in, but then the Spanish people will sing the final number. And I'm like, it's kind of a final number, it's not. And I was like, well, what are they going to sing? And they sang West Side Story, but in English, and none of them could really speak English. So they did a West Side Story medley. Tonight. Sorry, that's I'm not having a go at Spanish accent, but
I thought that was your Romanian accent.
That's my Indian accent, actually. It was terrible, and I'd said to them, mine is going to be funny. It doesn't even matter if people don't understand. It's just funny. Especially at the end, I hold the high note forever, and then I got the pianist to go off stage while I'm holding the high note and close the piano and do the whole kind of theatrics of, gosh, she's such a diva. Art is calling for. And he's like, do, 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 for, do, 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 and closes the lid, gets his folder, walks out the whole thing, and it brought the house down. Who is it? Thomas Krause. Was it Krause that was the guy that? Yeah, he was the head of it, and he was in the front row, like crying, like he was on the floor, like he'd come out of his seat. He was laughing so much, cheering, like standing up. I kid you not, right? The Spanish group who had treated me so badly, like the whole way through, they get on. Tonight, 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 tonight. This is the applause at the end. I was just like, well, motherfuckers, if you had listened about what needs to finish. But of course, they didn't want to put the non-Spanish singer on at the end, and they paid the price because I bought the house down, and it was the most tepid golf clapping like that you've ever seen in your life. Wow. It was great, and I felt justified. I felt just I was just Viva Helena.
Did you get the 5-star big dinner event that did they do that in your year? Yes. They did it for us. That was I think that is the first time I've had like beautiful 5-star proper silver service, like where every single person
gorgeous
had their
and
own
such a beautiful venue for memory too.
Yeah, that was incredible, and it was sponsored by Volvo the year that I did it. So we all had Volvo drivers. So we all got the latest Volvos to drive us around everywhere, and it was kind of worth it just for that because I'm not a massive car head, but I do appreciate a luxury vehicle, and they were really nice cars that they had us driving everywhere, and that was a good deal.
I think you definitely got better the year you did it. I had so much to say.
You fixed it for me. Thanks, I appreciate that. I think I did it 1 or 2 years after you, because I think that was the reason that I did it, because I heard you'd said. Yeah, I think you did. Wait, you told me. Sorry, what? Oh, yes.
You stayed in a convent. I swear we stayed in a convent.
I did stay in a convent. Yeah. Yeah. No, well, it was a monastery for me, but oh no, was it a convent? I think it was. It was definitely a religious institution. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. That was cool. That was really cool.
I remember there was a beautiful restaurant nearby where they had no menus in English, and it was Ivana and Kishani and myself, and we kind of went to this restaurant with our little like pocketbook Spanish, pocketbook because back then in my day, we all had internet, but of course you don't do roaming and stuff back then because it was so expensive. So we had no access to internet while we were outside of the building, and we'd go to this restaurant. And we'd do menu roulette. Like, we kind of understand what that word means. Like, let's go with that.
So many testicles.
I ended up ordering the squid ink, and it was amazing. And you could see them. I think it was not just squid ink, but it was like a really localized, kind of dish, and you could see them like looking at me very questionably, like when we ordered it. But I have to say it was one of the best things I've tasted. It was so good. Some of the other dishes, we're not even sure to this day what was in them. But that's part of the experience.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, the big, apart from getting driven around in fancy cars, it happened over the time that the London bombings happened, and so my wife was in London when it happened. So I was in Spain, and I still remember having a break, during one of the big orchestral calls, and everyone's phone rang at once. And it's that really surreal moment you see in movies where something dramatic has happened. But I remember seeing everyone's phone ringing at once and text coming in, and just seeing this wave of people who were looking. And I wasn't looking at my phone at the time. It was in my bag, and I could see it. I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? And so it's one of those things that, because it's a multilingual festival, there are only a handful of people. I had no one there from the Royal Academy when I'd come across. So there were only a handful of people who spoke English in the year that I was there. But I remember running across my phone, getting it, and seeing a message from Anna just saying that she was safe, and then calling her and getting all the details. And she was stuck out of London. So she was teaching at a school out of London at the time. So she'd gone through London, and then she couldn't get back into London. So had to try to get as close as she could. Yeah. So she had to get as close as she could to London. And then she walked across London. And she still tells this story of the weird atmosphere of both, trepidation, but also there were street parties happening because everyone was stuck either in London or out of their area. It sounded so surreal, and I still feel like such a strange thing to have been away from London at such a seminal moment in its recent history. It's really, really amazing.
I was traveling when it happened. I was traveling to Glyndebourne because I was singing for Glyndebourne that summer.
Wow.
And my brother was trying to get into contact with me desperately, and it wasn't very good connection. And I literally had passed the area where it was like maybe 10 minutes.
Wow.
So it was very. And my mum was over at that time because it was the year of my Royal Albert Hall debut, and my mum and my brother, were coming across to see my Royal Albert Hall debut. And mum was at the flat, which was just down the road in Great Portland Street. And mum was at the flat and she could hear helicopters and everything. And then my brother called in, and my brother found out about it before the public did because of the nature of his job.
Yeah.
And so he contacted me. And then, I had similar. So I had a performance down at Glyndebourne, and getting back in, it was like ghost town. It was like the trains would go, but you had to have like really good reason to come back in. And everyone said, "Oh, stay out, like don't go back in." And I just didn't want to leave my mum on her own in my flat in London. So I was one of the only ones that decided to get back on the train. And it was just like the train would pull up and you heard nothing. It was just like ghost town. A lot of people were just not wanting to be out and about in the area that I was in, at least. And it took ages to try and get the public transport back in. Yeah.
God, that's incredible. Wow.
Mm.
Well, that's quite a sober start to the second half of the second season. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Okay, pivoting back to the fantastic show that we saw at the Palais. So, what's your review of the Palais? What did you think of it as a venue?
Well, the theatre itself was awesome. I love the fact that they have these lounge seats up in the balcony.
So comfy,
which is slightly bigger. And so comfy for people with big bums. I loved it. Not that I didn't want to sit close to you and Henry, but it just meant a little bit more room. And as I said, it's not an opera theatre by far, but I liked it. And I know you got very grumpy at me because I admitted to you that I'm not a huge GNS fan. And
I'm still grumpy about it. I still a little bit haven't forgiven you.
But what I did notice was that with GNS comes such a diverse audience, and I found that really fascinating. People who would never probably go to the opera, people who, the joy of GNS has been around for many years in a more mainstream way than opera necessarily is. And what that brings, the kind of people that brings is really variable. And I mean like age variable, what people's interests are. And you see like masses of lines to get in the theatre and people bustling, and that was quite exciting. Like to be a part of that, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the fact I felt very proud that an opera company per se were the ones putting it on, and not just like a commercial outfit.
That's it. Yeah, and I've got to say I loved the production. It was full of whimsy and surprise and delight, which is always a big box tick for me, is seeing that kind of work that Stuart Maunder did to put together something that fantastic. He really had a sense of playing with the audience and playing with the audience's expectations and letting the performers on stage find that humor themselves. I really enjoyed that, and it was great. And you could see that with the Pirate King Ben Mingay was fantastic, and you could see the fun that he was having.
Astounding.
It was incredible. And you could see the fun they were all having at different times, like Antoinette Halloran, again, wonderful, Nicholas Jones, clearly loving what they were doing and loving the interaction that they got to have on stage. And in opera, it can get and feel so precious, which is funny because in Gilbert and Sullivan, it gets weirdly precious as well. You can't deviate in certain ways. You've got to do certain conventions. Like, there are kind of strict rules that people will get picky about if you mess with them. But it was awesome seeing opera singers that we're used to seeing sometimes do very constrained roles just let loose and muck around and have a great time. I loved that. I really, really loved that.
I have to say that I'm going to be really controversial.
Oh my God, you're going to say that Chris Hillier was the worst thing on stage, weren't you? You're going to say it.
Not at all.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
I would never say that. What I loved about Ben, who played the Pirate King, was that he had such a beautiful operatic tone. Like he also had a part that allowed him to really sing beautifully. The way that the part was written gave him that opportunity, gave him that fuel. But he was so strong vocally, and in the sense, I know he does a lot of theatre and stuff. I know he's not just he's not just a theatre singer or not just an opera singer. I know he kind of like lives in between the two worlds. And I found that his singing was outstanding, but also his comedy and his patter, and you could understand him. You could always hear his text.
Text was glorious.
And that was great, because I have to say, and this is going to make me sound like a complete snob, but I'm going to be honest. I always think of people, like I know Gilbert and Sullivan can be cast by music theatre, like with music theatre singers or with opera singers. I know it can go both ways.
Ish.
For me, I've always thought of GNS as singers who are not great vocally, if I'm honest. So, and I don't mean that they're bad singers. That's not what I mean. But I mean like that their skill set is slightly more variable than like a Verdi Wagnerian singer. And so because I come from the school of bel canto and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a snob. I'm absolutely not a snob, but I will say.
I love that. I'm not a snob, but.
But no. And I'll fully admit this. I'm not a snob, but it hits me when people can't sing well and they're employed to do so.
Yeah.
So like if someone's on stage and the singing is second rate, because I'm a technician and because I'm a singer first and foremost, that annoys me, because I'm like, well, no, there are people that can sing well that could probably still do that. But when people are hired for slightly different reasons, fine. So it's like when you go to music theatre and you see a television actor that's put in, and yes, they can sing, but they're brought in for the name or they're brought in for a different skill set. So in my mind, and and I'm quite happy to say it, I would always think of any opera singer who is in a GNS show predominantly are probably not as great vocally as singers that you get in more set repertoire.
Oh, so that is controversial, because I disagree. Because as I was saying to you, so much of what Arthur Sullivan did as a composer was very much focused on his pastiches of other operas, because he obviously he has written some beautiful, beautiful music. So you should be a versatile operatic singer to be able to do the full width and breadth of what Sullivan gives you to play with.
Yeah, and that's cool. And you know a lot more about it than I do. But I'm just telling you, like, I think part of the reason, because you said to me, like, you're like, well, why haven't you ever done it? Well, I don't know a lot about it, and so I don't understand it as intrinsically as you. So I'm coming at it really from almost like from a member of public who doesn't know much about it, but is there just for a good night. Did I have a good night? Absolutely, 100%. Did Victorian opera do a great job for me? Yeah, like it passed super quickly. It was beautiful to look at. I thought all the singers, in their own kind of different ways, did great jobs. I knew some of the music, so that helped. Like I felt very much like a member of public going in to watch something rather than an operatic expert per se. Because
that's nice. I like that.
And that's cool. And was I surprised? Yeah. Was I, did I enjoy it? Absolutely, 100%. Like I had a great night. And that kind of stuff passes often more quickly than a night at the opera, unless the night at the opera is, really fantastic. So it's just a different way. But I've always, and I don't mean it snobbily, like, oh, I look down on those things. I don't. I appreciate what they have to offer. I appreciate like all that pitter-patter stuff. I appreciate, all the comedy and the timing and the dancing and the movement. Like Nick Jones, who I've worked with before, Nicholas Jones, a tenor who did Frederick in it, like superstar material. Like again, like Ben, I thought he still sang beautifully. It was still really good singing, but he still lent himself really well into the style. And I didn't think that I'd appreciate that as much as I did, but I was like, actually, I didn't listen to him and go, oh, he's an opera singer trying to sing like lighter stuff, And yes, as an opera singers, we have to be versatile, of course. I'm doing Rossini pitter patter at the moment, and that in a way is similar to GNS, in its kind
it's because that's what he was referencing. Yeah, when he wrote when he wrote those pieces, he was referencing Rossini, and he was referencing Donizetti, and he was referencing Verdi.
And I get that. And it was funny because I was in a coaching with my Rossini Cenerentola today, and my coach said to me, the one thing you have to be a little careful of, Helena, is that you're not used to being seconda donna. You're not used to being like he said, so in these big ensembles, you are used to being the bel canto queen or heroine. Therefore, your voice is trained the way you've trained your voice to rise above a chorus and above the ensemble and all this kind of stuff, especially when it's sitting like in the upper passaggio, in the upper notes and stuff. So it's like Rossini's written this part like you're the first lady in a way because of the way that it's written in the voice. You've got to be really careful not to just like powerhouse this through to the end and be like, and I was like, what? Me, seconda donna? Like,
you're pushing people off the stage. I know this is going to happen. We're going to see you in the paper.
Rental is going down. But yeah, and I almost hate myself for saying what I've just said to you, but I don't care. I'm going to be honest. Like that's kind of that's the reason I think I've avoided it, because I just like, I just don't want to hear crappy singing, and I don't want to hear. I guess that's what. And look, for me, it's a great night. As I said, I had a really lovely night. Of course, I'm picky because it's part of what I am, but I don't know enough about the genre to be as picky, say, as you could be, because I don't know it for what it is. But as a night out and as a spectacle, and the fact that they got so many people to the theatre, for me that gives me joy. As an opera company, they're putting it on. They're getting bums on seats. They're selling out tickets. We went on a weeknight, didn't we? And there was plenty of people there. And that makes me happy. It makes me happy that people are at live theatre appreciating, live talent. And yeah, so I thought that was great.
And they were employing opera singers. Yeah, we knew nearly the entire cast because they were the cream of the operatic community. And that there's a lot to be said for that. Like, that's part of the remit for Melbourne Opera and for Victorian Opera and Opera Australia. We're supposed to be supporting opera singers and pushing the art form out there and making sure that it's a sustainable industry. And they clearly were doing that really, really well. I really approved of that.
The way that Victorian Opera support their emerging artists, like all their young artists that they've got, and their emerging artists, and they were they made up a lot of the ensemble, and they were phenomenal. And the sound they made was phenomenal.
So good. Those ensembles were stunning.
Yeah. And that makes, they were having such a great time that feeds off the energy to the audience. But also, I'm just so delighted that these young opera singers who are coming up through our ranks are being able to be a part of something like that, where it is fun and it's infectious and it's, and they get that thrill of going out there and the audience just being so behind it and everything. I think that's a wonderful experience to have.
It was very cool. It was very, very cool. I'll tell you the other very cool thing that I've seen recently was Piper's Playhouse, which is it's a Parisian cabaret burlesque immersive experience that's on at Crown Casino at the moment. And it was incredible in terms of the quality of performance and the immersive experience. It was so cool. Like, you enter through a maze and it kind of sets the tone. They've got Jimmy the Queen, and they've got some amazing burlesque dancers and contortionists and like a hand balancer there. They had an amazing performer doing bubble art, like a whole act, like just doing bubble work. And you're like, what? How is that entertaining? But it was so engaging. It was one of the coolest things ever. I had a real moment when I was sitting there going, oh, this is the epitome of cool. But it was because it was so well executed. And I was sort of like you in the Gilbert and Sullivan world of going, I know nothing about burlesque. I know nothing about cabaret broadly, like stylistically, or about circus or any of these other elements that they brought into it. I know about immersive experiences and those kinds of things. And for that, my brain kind of was tickled and was going, oh, I can see how you've done these very clever things with this space. But at the core, watching the artists on stage, I was just blown away, and I was a genuine audience member in a way that I don't often get to be. I'm usually watching the strings. I'm usually very conscious of going, oh, God, they've used this type of light for this type of thing. Oh, that would have been expensive. Oh, God, I wonder how many rehearsals that took. That would have cost them a fortune. Those kind of things. In the same way that you look at things technically and go, wow, that breath control or that use of diction and thing. That's how I look at it from a producer's mind. But this experience was so all-consuming that I had just a genuine night of being a punter, and it was so good. And I've got to say, it was topped off by they made an announcement, partway through going, and, the party keeps going after the show tonight because when the show finishes, we turn into Le Piano Bar, and we've got an amazing piano bar that runs till 1 a.m. And as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, who would have been so cool for this? Trevor Jones. Like, he would have been perfect. And they went, and our performer is Trevor Jones. And I'm like, what? And I looked across at Anna, my wife, and I'm like, and there was Trevor. And he's like looking at me. I'm like, oh my God, it's Trevor. So we got to hang around and listen to Trevor do his thing. And Trevor, he's just so versatile. It's crazy because, again, that I saw that on a Friday night, and on the Saturday night, he was conducting Stonington's Opera in the Park. And I cannot express how different those two deliveries. I didn't get a chance to see Stonington in the Park. I'll tell you about what I was doing on the Saturday in a moment. But I saw so many clips from it, and everyone's been raving about what an amazing show it was and what a great job everyone did. But Trevor holds his band together, and he's this fantastic conductor and all these kinds of things. But watching him doing Billy Joel and Elton John and the high energy just bashing away on that piano, the piano spun. So it revolved in the center of the room, and he kept telling the technician, because he would stop then for a while and he'd play a little bit and he'd be chatting, and he's like, let's spin it again. And so then he would just keep playing, and the audience was all singing along and having a ball. I'm like, this man, so insanely talented, but so much energy, like to come off a brilliant show and then bring all of that energy to hold a whole room absolutely engrossed and wanting to be part of the party. It was just so cool. It was awesome. Yeah, highly recommend that. I don't know when it's wrapping up, but I hope it's going to hang around for a while because it's a very, very cool experience. Highly recommend that to anyone who's in Melbourne. And if you see it coming to another city, go along. God, it was good. Just genuine, pure joy. It was great.
Hey, that's not something I'd even consider, but it sounds cool.
It really, really was cool. And I've got to say, the next night, the reason I couldn't go and see Stonington's Opera in the Park was that I went and saw Dinner Anyone, which was Art Etcetra's production that was originally commissioned by the city of Boroondara. It's now been touring, and it's just done a show for the city of Bayside and at Kamesburg Gardens. And it was so cool. I love outdoor theatre. It's just, there's something really accessible about it in a way that you wouldn't necessarily engage. Like, I don't know if I would sit through a show like Dinner, because I've seen it before. I was part of the commissioning team. So I don't know if I'd sit through it again because I've seen it. I know the show. I know the laughs. It's kind of cool. I'd go to support the people, all the people I know in the production. But the fact that it was outdoors, I went, yeah, picnic, take the family. This is so good. And that barrier of entry, lowering that way is so good, of just making it so accessible. And they did such a good job of that. They really met the audience where they were in that space. I loved it.
I think it's great, like, to attract more people, to feel. A lot of people feel very anxious about going to the opera because they feel like they've got to dress up, or they feel like when they go to a theatre, they feel a bit, enclosed in the space. I personally, I'm not a fan of going to outdoor theatre, music, anything.
Fair enough.
It makes me just feel like I'm at I don't know, like an outdoor camp or something. But I sound like a snob, but I love the theatre. I love the feeling of the theatre. I love when the lights go off. I love the dark. For me, I'm just.
But then you're trapped if it's not good. See, this is my problem, right? If I go to see a show and I'm stuck there in slightly uncomfortable seats, unless you're at the Palais where the seats were really comfy, slightly uncomfortable seats, and then you go 10 minutes in, oh no, I do not like this show. This is not fun.
I've left
it's
before.
Horrible. Oh, see, I find it so, I have as well, but I hate, that breaks my heart and makes me feel
not
really,
frequently.
really anxious. I hate
only
that.
Twice in my life I've walked out of something. But I had to because it was so bad. One of them was Opera Australia, actually, at the State Theatre.
I was just about to say, it wasn't something that I put on, was it? Or that I was in?
No, it was Opera Australia.
That's good. Glad.
It was Pearl Fishers, actually.
Oh, I wasn't. See, I've done the same, and it was an Opera Australia production, but I wasn't going to name it. But you've named and shamed.
I named it.
To be fair,
it was a long time ago.
I know the production you're talking about, and I feel like I only made it through the first act, and I think I left as well. I did not. Also, I'm gonna be brutally honest. Pearl Fishers not my favorite. Really don't enjoy Pearl Fishers as an opera.
No.
At the best of times, like when it's well done, I still don't think it's great. It's got one good number, And
I learned that the hard way. Yeah, I was gone. Yeah.
No. Did you make it to interval at least, or did you just do a runner partway through? Did you hear the overture and go, nope?
No, I did. No, I did. No, of course I'd give it a go. I made it to interval, and then I was like, no, I'm just absolutely not going back. No, not a chance in the world. But outdoor theatre. I mean, as I said, I think it's a great idea, and I love the fact that people put it on, and I love the fact that people who would never go to the theatre would go to stuff like that, and Opera in the Park, and all these things that the councils run, and all. Like I love all of that. It just gives families and people a chance to feel a little bit more casual and comfortable, and dress a little bit more casual and comfortable, and all of that. No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But nope.
But also, what I love is that picnic experience of being able to sit and eat during it. I feel it's always tricky in a theatre doing chips and dips during an opera in a theatre.
See, there's something that stems from my life of when you're younger and you do a lot of performing at dinners and things, and like as a student you do it, and you're like the background entertainment and people talk and they eat. I cannot stand it when people talk.
Oh my God.
Or eat when I'm singing. I just can't
talking's
do it.
Different. You got to pay attention.
Don't get me wrong. Like a little aria or something. Yeah, like fine, okay, whatever. Like I'm glad people are having a good time. I'm glad people are drinking. But I just tell you,
yes, you're glad people are drinking.
I'm glad people are drinking so they can just chill the hell out. But there's something about it because on those outdoor experiences, people like chat out like under their breaths and stuff, and like all that kind of thing. It's not. Maybe not
they do when you're
engaged.
singing, not me. No, they're paying attention
to
me.
They bloody do. They bloody do. Stop it. Stop.
Well, I'm going to be watching
them
because I've got a few outdoor gigs coming up soon, so I'm going to be watching them for sure. Watching them damn close, making sure they're not speaking. Because I'm attending one in a few weeks. So we go to. I was going to say, are you going to come along? But now that I know you hate outdoor opera, maybe you won't be there. But Opera in the Park, the city of Boroondara's Opera in the Park, part of their Summer in the Park series. So you are the patroness, is this correct, of Opera Scholars Australia? And it's Opera Scholars Australia.
Patroness. I love that.
Are you not patroness? Is that not your title? Or is it just patron?
I'm artistic patron, but I like patroness.
Artistic patron.
It's kind of, gives it a little bit more diva tigress kind of like idea. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a glorious event. I think it's coming up at Canterbury Garden in Canterbury, and it's Al Lewis and the Opera Scholars. And I'm really looking forward to that because I used to perform in those shows. I used to produce those shows. So I've got a real kind of 360 take on seeing it. And I've seen the preparation that's gone into it. I'm really excited. They're doing an Italian, what are they calling it? La Dolce Vita. So they're doing a real Italian kind of theming of the space as well. And I'm so looking forward to that.
Nice.
But I will be sitting on a picnic rug and I will be eating while they sing. But I can assure you I will not be talking. So there you go. How's that for a...
I don't know that you can assure me of that. Can you? If you wanted to say something to your wife, if she was there, you'd be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then you go back. So you would talk. You wouldn't talk much. I'm not saying that you'd have a whole conversation. But you'd feel the freedom to chat. And that pisses me off. You shouldn't be able to feel the freedom to chat.
You may not have the freedom to chat. Oh
because
my
then
God.
As a performer, I'm like, what the fuck are they saying over there? Like, come on, excuse me. Hello, focus.
Maybe I'll be giving them the words because, the number of times I've done outdoor opera and I've been there and gone, no, I don't know my words. And I've just had to make them up. That's been fine. It would have been nice if I had a couple of people chatting in the audience, taking a bit of pressure off me. I could just look at them.
There you
That'd
go.
be fine.
Well,
that'd be all good.
It's all ahead of you. Yeah.
Well,
Love it.
if you're not going to Opera in the Park, which I still may try to drag you along to, given the fact that you are artistic patroness of Opera Scholars Australia. What else are you seeing?
Al Lewis, take note.
Yeah. What are you seeing coming up?
One of my students, Beth Patterson, is actually putting on a 70-minute one-woman theatre show called Nucia, and that's on in February, and it's exploring her Polish-Jewish grandmother's survival of the Holocaust, and she finds these letters of her grandmother, and the kind of clip of it says, my grandmother was just a really nasty, grumpy old lady, but actually she was a survivor of the Holocaust and actually protected like a whole lot of people, and so really fascinating kind of one woman show, and it's not something I'd usually kind of go along and see, but Beth is one of my recent Studio High Notes students. And I just think she's so incredibly talented. She's a playwright. She's a producer, director. And it went to the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh as a, kind of quantified, unknown kind of act,
So
one-woman
cool.
show,
Yeah.
which she produced, directed, acted in the whole thing, and won literally everything, literally every award, and she didn't even really know about the awards, and she kind of left with this kind of 5-star reviews and winning all these awards. So I'm super keen to go along and see her do her thing, and also just to experience something that I wouldn't usually experience. Again, I'm into plays, but again, music is my life. I appreciate really good plays. I do go to them, but it takes a lot for me to go to straight theatre. So the fact that I know her, the fact that she's written it, the fact that it's won so many awards, the fact that is just really fascinating. Yeah, so I'm really keen to see what she can do, and I love her as a human, and I have a lot of respect for her and how she works in the studio, and just what an immensely talented young lady she is, and the fact that it's won all this stuff as well, and shows for something. So I'm actually taking my mum along to that, and we're gonna make a night of it and go and see that. So I'm really
that's so good.
Excited about that.
Yeah, I'm gutted I can't go to that one because it's, as this episode of the podcast goes to air, it'll be this coming weekend is when Nusia is on. So I think it's the 21st and 22nd of Feb, I think is right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It looked amazing. I was really, really disappointed I can't go to that one. But funnily, I'm rehearsing for a show with our friend Henry. We're doing we're putting a show together called Henry and Adam's Excellent Operatic Adventures. We've got a video shoot for that, for some of the promo material. So that's wrecked my weekend. Hey, do you know the thing that people will not realize, but of course you and I have known for ages because, dear listener, we've recorded many of the episodes that are coming up across this season already. But what our listeners won't know is that we have changed up our rapid 5 questions.
We have.
Should we break it to everyone what these questions are? Should we power our way through them? What do you reckon?
No, I don't think we should. I think they should find out the first time we have a guest on, because...
Okay, fine. Yep.
Because of who the first lot of guests are, I feel like that gives them time.
Oh, yes. I've just done the maths of this episode will go to air the night before we record the Tenors episode, which we will just, spoilers everybody, the Tenors are coming back for our season 2 finale. But you're right. If we do our 5 rapid fire questions in this episode, if they're good and they listen to us, and there'll be questions about the series, so they'd better bloody listen to us. If they listen to us, then they'll get a hint, and we like the spontaneity. Also, these are tricky questions this year, I think.
Yeah, I think it's best to leave them because the tenor brain is a remarkable one at working, at full speed straight away. So I prefer to have that reaction in real time.
Oh, that's good. No, I like that a lot. I approve of that wholeheartedly. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of our time. So just before we go, you're saying you're working on Cenerentola. Is that your next gig? Is that what you're putting together at the moment? How's that coming together apart from your second diva energy?
I'm doing my masterclass with Melbourne Opera Young Emerging Artists at the end of Feb as well, at the start of March. Sorry. I'm doing a masterclass with Melbourne Opera Emerging Artists at the start of March, which is going to be wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yes, Cenerentola is my first gig. I'm making my debut as one of the evil stepsisters, which is so much fun. But holy crap! How
evil are you going to be? Have you worked it out?
Well,
have you actually started to work through just how evil you're going to be?
I have to say, I did have my coach, Raymond Lawrence, is coaching me, and he was chuckling at my recit because I was being such a knob in the recit, to Cenerentola. Like the way that I've paced it and the way that I'm like, no, come on. So I definitely think the older sister, because I'm the older sister, I definitely think she's got more of the kind of classy beach comedy value, to be fair. I guess it just depends. Apparently we're having a 70s retro design for Cenerentola, so that'll be fun.
Oh, that's cool. Oh my God, you're going to have so much fun in that. Oh, that's awesome.
I get to meet the designer because I'm getting I'm actually getting flown up to Adelaide early for a whole lot of publicity stuff in the middle of March, and they're doing a whole lot of publicity stuff with me, some TV stuff, some photo shoot stuff, both for Cenerentola and Norma, and I get to meet the designer then as well. So I'm looking forward to that, and just the amount of care that they're taking to meet me and you know to make cool stuff for me. So I'm psyched about that.
Awesome.
But yeah, Cenerentola, and on the back of that,
cool.
At the same time, because it's part of their 50th year celebrations, they're doing Norma in concert, and I know they're super psyched about that because they've had so many interstate bookings for that. Like a lot of people are flying in for that, and of course they had the big AIDA that they were supposed to be doing up there this year, and it got cancelled to next year. So I think people are, you know, wanting to have trips to Adelaide for things, and the Norma, because it's, you know, my signature role and everything, it's attracting a lot of attention. So at the moment I'm crazy trying to cram Cenerentola and all the pitter-patter of the text in to get that going. And because I'll be doing Norma at the same time, and even though it's in concert, I'm re-revising Norma and making sure, and it sits differently in my voice now as well. And then literally I do those back to back, and I come home for 10 days, and then I go back to Adelaide and I'm doing Strauss four last songs with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. So that's crazy. And then literally a couple of weeks later, I'm doing AIDA in Sydney at the Opera House with the Philharmonic up there. My first ever
that's
AIDA.
So
and then off the back
say, that's your role debut.
Yeah. Yep, role debut. And off the back of Sydney, I start rehearsals for Il Trovatore, and Leonora is my role debut for Melbourne Opera. So it's just, you know, it's manic.
That's a bonkers. And
you look at it and you go, oh. So everything has to just be done ahead of time. And when I'm in one contract, I'll be learning for the next contract. And it just feels wonderful. What a wonderful way to start my journey back home. It's such a beautiful year.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have to say, to a dramatically lesser extent, because I'm not doing full role debuts, but I've had to literally make a little spreadsheet of the gigs that I've got coming up and my little learning schedule to make sure that I'm learning all that stuff as well and staying ahead of it, because there are a couple of tricky pieces I've got coming up this year, and I'm like, oh man, I'm doing Unsung Heroes, which is a work by Easton about the war, and it's incredibly tricky, really, really tricky. I'm doing that with the Camberwell Chorale, and what's interesting is I prepared it last year, and you know it's a very powerful and brilliant work, but I had some quite strong feelings about whether I liked it or not. But having had our conversation with Simon Lobelson last year, since then, it's made me rethink how I'm approaching the work. So I'm now actually relearning it with some of that advice that he gave us on the podcast. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Did you take the advice of his about the cat? About singing it like a cat? Do you remember he talked about modern works, and there's the one about the cat?
That's right. No, I'm not going to sing it like a cat. But I'm going to envisage a cat, because that might help me get
embrace
through some
the cat.
of that. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. And then I've got the exact opposite. I'm doing a jazz concert at where is it? At the Brighton Yacht Club, and that's going to be fun because that's going back to my roots of just crooning, fun jazz music. So and those are within a couple of days of each other. So I'm going from the ridiculous to the surreal. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun week, trying to get my head around all those things. At least I know the jazz stuff. I don't have to work hard to learn that. That's nice. It's good.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's all very good. But all of that being said, I think we have officially kicked off 2026 High Notes and Anecdotes. Shall we stick a fork in it and say we're done?
We should.
And people will have to listen in next week to our first guest, who will be Michael Lapina. So we're very much looking forward to having Michael on the episode next week. Tune in. He is a fascinating human who does very cool and very interesting things, and he'll be chatting about a fun gig up in Rochester as well. With that being said, we shall say goodbye. Bye, Helena.
Bye.